dad got me into it. I want to say I was 5 when I went to my first game in 1998. I think it was against the Indians. It was like a really hot July game. And, I mean, that's the one thing. Those are probably my best memories from being a kid, was going to Yankees games. I went to Game 5 of the 2001 World Series. I was 8 years old. That's probably the best memory I have in my life. And that was all created by my dad, who's actually here watching right now.
Oh, what's up, Father?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I said it. I was like, you got to go on my Instagram at 11. I was like, I'm not going to be able to help you get on there and watch it. I don't know if you've ever done Instagram Live before, but...
You done Instagram Live before, or this is your first time?
I want to say it's my first time ever doing an Instagram Live, so...
Oh.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So I've seen your stuff. I've been following you for a long time, and you've been doing work with John Boy Media and Talking Jake, and they do a great job also. So take me back. When did you join their team, and how is it like working with them?
So I hopped into this whole Yankees social media community about a year ago now in May, and it was like the middle of the season. For a while, I was just kind of lurking. I just had my personal accounts. I had a Twitter account that I didn't really tweet from at all, but I was just using it to follow and get Yankees news and stuff. And that's when I saw John Boy's stuff. I saw guys like yourself just posting all these different Yankees things. I was like, man, like, that's a community that I want to be a part of. So let me make an account, put my face on it. And that was last May. And so John Boy really got me interested in starting anything to begin with. And October rolled around, and he and I had just a brief conversation in direct messages. And I was like, I'd be kicking myself if I didn't give you my elevator pitch. So here's what I do. You know, I was working at colleges and their athletic departments. I was like, I have this skill set. If you're ever looking to hire people, let me know. And that's when January rolled around, and I saw him post about getting an office, and he posted a link to an application. So I pretty much just sent in the application, and I heard back from him, and I went and visited the office. It was more like, let's just get to know each other before I officially hire you or anything like that. This was in February, and they pretty much hired me within days. And I started there. My first official day was March 16th. So that's the brief explanation, but it was a long time. I mean, I shouldn't say it was a long time coming, because I really just started doing this last year, but I knew from day one that my goal was to flip my whole Yankees social media presence into something like this right now.
Right. So, obviously, I forgot Keith McPherson. He does a great job also.
Yeah, I
did. But so since there's no season, what kind of content have you guys been coming up with? Obviously, I've seen your shout out to you for that video on opening day when everybody was in quarantine, and shout out to you, by that video was awesome. Giving us hype for opening day at home. That I think Keith McPherson started that, or you did. I'm pretty sure all of you started that, right?
The whole idea, the opening day online. Yeah,
that was awesome. So let's talk about the team here. So obviously we had a great offseason with Garrett Cole. So what was your reaction when we signed Garrett Cole to that monster deal?
Man, I knew it was coming, but I'm super optimistic. Like, a lot of people are very pessimistic Yankees fans, like, no, we're not going to do it, this and that. I knew from day one when the Garrett Cole hype started, we haven't been signing a lot of guys like that lately. You know, a lot of people are saying, well, George Steinbrenner would have signed this guy and that guy. I knew from day one, I was like, Garrett Cole is the perfect fit for the New York Yankees. He was the main need. I mean, like, if we had had Garrett Cole for the past 3 seasons, there's a chance we would have won the World Series every single year. It's been literally the missing piece. So, like, last offseason when Machado was out there and Bryce Harper was out there, I'm like, those guys are great, but it's not really guys that we need. So when Garrett Cole was out there, I was like, this is definitely the guy they're going to go after, because they've been saving up bankroll for the past 2 years, and it's a perfect fit. It's exactly what we need. So I knew all along they were going to get Garrett Cole, and of course they finally get a guy, and then this happens.
Yeah.
He's still younger. He's still a younger guy, so it's not like this is making him age to the point where he's not going to be as good as we thought he was whenever baseball came back. But I do think when baseball comes back, man, the Yankees got to be the favorite to win it all.
So we really needed him too, because now since Severino won't be here for till next year, most likely with the Tommy John surgery. But are you concerned? Are you concerned with this long contract we're giving people, especially Garrett Cole, like a pitcher? I mean, obviously now it's a good move, but long term, with Garrett Cole.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely concerned about the back end of that contract, but that's the only way you were going to get him. It's a bidding war. So unless the Yankees offered him those 9 years, they weren't going to get him. So you figure you can get 5 superstar years out of him, kind of like you did with CeCe. You gave him that long contract. This is before they had all the math on how these contracts work out and stuff like that. And, of course, we've seen it plenty with guys like Pujols and CeCe and Miguel Cabrera. That's just how you bid to get them. And going into it that you're going to get the first half is going to be a really solid player. The back half is going to be kind of like a shell of that player.
Right.
And who knows, maybe at some point a guy like Garrett Cole will be an outlier in those situations and end up being really good. But you kind of have to expect that he's not going to be very good for the final 4 years. But if he could be a superstar for the first 5, get us 2 or 3 championships, that's solid. I mean, we'll take 1 to start. It's been too long.
We need another time. It's time for another one, yeah.
Yeah, it's been too long. I mean, we're spoiled. So we'll take 1 to start. But if he can get 2, I don't care what happens the rest of the contract, especially if he gets 3. I mean, he could just quit for the final 4 years of the contract if he gets his 3 World Series.
Shout out, by the way, Julian, who just joined, shout out to him. He does a fantastic job also, Julian, on Twitter. Yeah, he does a great job. So shout out to Julian, who just joined. And then now to Severino. I mean, obviously, he was supposed to be our ace coming in too actually number 2 with Garrett Cole. But before we had Garrett Cole, he could have been our ace, and obviously he has potential. But with these injuries concerns, what do you think is Severino's ceiling though for the future? Because I feel like with these injuries he's getting now, I'm really concerned for the future for him.
I'm worried about him for sure. Man, if we could just get a few good years out of him, because we've already gotten some. I mean, what year was he amazing in? Was it 2017 that he really broke out? And then 2018, he was solid for the first half and then not good for the second half. I mean, so we've already gotten something out of him. We can't just say that he was terrible throughout. If we could get another couple good years out of Severino, I'd be pretty satisfied, but I'm definitely worried about the guy. This is a guy who probably isn't complaining too much about what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you figure Severino's sitting there like, well, I wasn't going to play anyway, and now nobody's playing. So you figure if we get – now I just saw a quote from Rob Manfred today that says we're definitely going to get some kind of baseball this year. It sounded pretty confident, so that made me pretty happy. But you figure if we could – we're not going to be able to get paid anymore because you can't just keep paying with guys with revenue you're not bringing in. So they're going to have to come up with a plan. Of course, TV deals are going to be through the roof when sports comes back because it's going to be one of those moments in history where families are just on the couch. I mean, people who don't even give a hoot about baseball are going to be turning on the TV like, I got to see this. The first sporting event since, all this coronavirus stuff started. It's going to be a moment in world history. So when that does happen, we're going to get some odd form of baseball, but it doesn't matter to me. Like, give me something over time.
Yeah, I know. Mini baseball back.
I don't care if they're playing 3-on-3, no outfield or something like that. It doesn't even matter to me. Like, anything's better than nothing.
Right.
I'm tired of the old clips and stuff. I mean, it's been fun. We're all coming up with great ways to promote and stuff like that, but anything's better than nothing. So all these plans that I've been coming out with, I'm like, if they can make it work, that's great because it's not my problem.
Yeah,
I'm going to watch it on TV regardless.
Even if they have to play without fans, just put it on.
Exactly. Man, you seeing some of these highlights from the Chinese league? That stuff looks epic.
I know.
They're doing a great job.
Yep.
I don't care if it's fake. I don't care if they got cheerleaders out there dancing in front of nobody.
The ratings are through the roof for them.
Yeah, like, the cool part about it is I'm learning more about the Chinese baseball league. You could have asked me, name me one Chinese baseball league team. I could have not done it. Now I'm watching these games.
Right.
I'm learning names of these players, I can't even pronounce their names. It doesn't make a difference to me, man. It's all we got right now, so it's great.
What's up to Shaq, James, who just joined? What's up, guys?
These are all my guys. I know all.
Yeah, James. Shout out to James, man. He does an awesome job also, and man. So, but thank you for joining all these people. But
yeah, for sure. Can't wait to see these guys at the stadium.
Yeah,
yourself included.
Yeah, I know. We all have to link up when the season starts.
We will.
Yeah, but so obviously all these people are saying if it's a shortening season, obviously it would be this championship would be tainted this year. But I don't believe that. Do you believe in all this tainted shit? Nah,
I mean, it depends. Like, that's a place where I'm not fully against what people are saying because it depends. If they play 81 games, that's a season. Like, if they play 81 games in a normal playoffs, that's a season. That's a World Series. Now, if you mix up all the divisions, like that one proposal, which would be super fun, and I'm for it. But, I mean, that's no longer like a regular old Major League Baseball season. Now you're changing all the divisions. You're putting some teams in way more difficult divisions than they were supposed to play. And you're putting, like the Yankees division that came out, we had like the Tigers, Pirates. We had Tigers, Pirates, Phillies, and Blue Jays. Like,
right.
That's not too much easier than what we were up against in the first place, but it's definitely easier. So now you're putting teams in completely different situations than what they prepared for.
Yep.
I mean, if you can still get 100 games with those divisions, maybe you could still call it a World Series. You play the playoffs normal, you might be able to call it a World Series. But if you change the league up that drastically, or you only play something like a 50-game regular season and you put 4 teams in the playoffs and it's like best of 3 or like 1-game playoffs and stuff like that. Now you're changing things up to the point where it's not like a normal playoffs at all. Like, I still want them to do it. Don't get me wrong. Like, go for it. Play baseball. Put the games on my TV. Whatever you got to do that. It's fine with me. But that's where you're changing things up to a point where it's not really a World Series. You know, it's not the same as years past. So you can't really put it in the record books as if, let's say, a team like the Oakland A's gets real hot over 81 games. Or not 81 games, because I just said I'd be okay with that. Let's say a team like the Oakland A's plays a 50-game season and then a funky-looking playoffs, and they win it all. You can't put 2020 World Series champion Oakland A's and just have people go back to the record books and see Washington Nationals 2019 World Series the same way that they're seeing 2020 Oakland A's World Series. It just wouldn't be the same.
Right. So let's talk about the team again here. Man, Gio Sherlock. Let's talk about Gio Sherlock here for a little bit. He had a magical season last year for us. 21 home runs, 74 RBIs. The batting average was up there in the 300s. He came out of nowhere with the surprise. But do you think he can not repeat the season, but have a good season like last year?
I see no reason why he can't. I mean, it didn't look fake to me. He was hitting the shit out of the ball. Like, this dude was hitting bombs. Like, these weren't just short porch home runs. A lot of his home runs were to dead center. And then you were watching him in spring training. I couldn't just lay out the stats for you off the top of my head, but I remember seeing him hit some bombs to dead center just like he was all last year. So, and his defense is great. Like, he's one of the guys that has me completely out on defensive sabermetrics. I'm very much in the middle. If anything, I'm actually leaning more towards being like an analytics guy now, sabermetrics. Like, I look into it deeply, but the defensive metrics have a long way to go. You'll see me joke with people about the whole Derek Jeter argument. I actually just got into it today again because it's just a fun topic. It's a fun debate to have with people because I'm listening. Like, some people got some good stuff to say, but the guys like Derek Jeter and Gio Urshela, those are the two guys that I see people saying aren't that good at defense that have me just completely out on the sabermetrics. I just watched Gio Urshela for a whole season. The guy was unbelievable defensively. His defense was better than his offense, and I believe he hit over 300 with plenty of home runs and stuff. So he seemed legit to me.
Yeah. So what do you think of this? Obviously, our infield is obviously with Gio Sherlock, Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres is a stud, man. He's a superstar already.
He's good. He's good. So, he's one guy that if you want to say he's not that great defensively, I'll listen because he definitely does some questionable things on defense, but he's still really good. Like, I'm always calling him my shortstop for the next 10 years if that's how it works out.
Yeah, and then DJ LeMahieu was a big signing for us a year ago. So what do you? All right. So what are your thoughts on DJ LeMahieu? What was your? I think that was the year when Machado and Harper was in the free agent market, and then Cashman decided to go a different route, which is smart. He did the smarter route. So what do you think what was your reaction when DJ LeMahieu came on board, and now?
So I was totally okay with the DJ LeMahieu signing over Machado. I mean, if you could get a guy like that for like an eighth of the price that the Padres ended up paying for Machado, then so be it. That's fine. I'll take it. Because we didn't, like I said earlier, we didn't really need Machado that bad. I mean, we didn't even really need a DJ that bad. But I would be lying to you if I said that I thought he was going to be as great as he was. I mean, this dude was unbelievable. I didn't think he was going to be even half that good. I thought he was just going to be another, like, the Yankees have gone through so many second basemen since the Robinson Cano era. It was Neil Walker, Stephen Drew,
Brian Roberts.
Like, and those guys, I mean, some of them were really bad. Like, Stephen Drew was really bad. Like,
Dustin Ackley. I forgot him.
Dustin Ackley. That dude was awful.
That was horrible.
Man. Freaking terrible, dude. So I thought he was going to be a little bit better than some of those guys, but I didn't think this dude was going to be a superstar.
Right.
I mean, he was the season that he had. I don't expect him to go do this for 20 years, but the season he had was as close to a Jeter season as we've gotten since Jeter. I mean, this dude was unbelievable in every single way.
Yeah, like he always got singles, no matter what, singles, walks. I mean, I think he was the least one to strike out on the team last year. So, yeah, he brings contact. Yeah. I'm looking forward to see what he does this year. And also, now here's a concern for us is first base because I don't think Luke Voigt is a capable – I mean, obviously power hitter, but I don't think he can be good first baseman for the full season. So, Paul Goldschmidt was available. That was one of the years he went got traded.
Starting catchers. I could probably name like 20-something of them. And this coming from somebody who's like obsessive over Major League Baseball. So you look at a guy like Gary Sanchez, and it's like, sure, his defense is questionable at times. He's got a cannon, but he's not the best backstop in the league. But you have to just take it because he's so good offensively that some of these teams are putting catchers out there that are good defensively, but
I asked a few questions to him, to his translator, and he was able
to get really excited about him. But it's fun to get excited about as far as like fanfare is concerned, and like Jason Dominguez, this and that. Like let's hype it up as much as we can, but let's not expect them to help the 2020 Yankees, or let's not expect them to help the 2022 Yankees. But this is a guy who, when 2023 rolls around, all the way through like 2030 something. If Jason Dominguez is on the Yankees helping us win World Series, I wouldn't be surprised.
So I got a couple more questions here before I let you go. What was it like meeting Joe Girardi?
Oh, Joe is the man. And he got up there and gave a speech and remembered everybody's name.
Analytics. So, I mean, he brings the analytic, especially, and Garrett Cole loves analytics. So, thoughts on Matt Blake as the new pitching coach?
That's another one. I love what they did with Matt Blake because a lot of people were clamoring for guys that we already knew about, like David Cohn and, David Wells. And there was a few other names that got tossed around, like, I can't even, Ron Guidry and stuff like that. A few names that got tossed around. And I'm saying all these names because they're just names that we know. I knew all along that the Yankees were going to hire somebody that none of us would know their name. And it's going to be a guy that we're all going to be like, well, who the heck is that? But again, I'm kind of glad they went with the guy who's new school, and this guy was with the Cleveland Indians, who have just been pumping out star starting pitchers that nobody had heard of before they were with the Cleveland Indians, like Shane Bieber, Mike Clevenger, Trevor Bauer. I mean, the Cleveland Indians, Corey Kluber, they've just been pumping out really good pitchers. So I knew all along that when they got Matt Blake, Cleveland Indians, like, that's the guy right there. I knew it was going to be good. And now you're seeing these highlights from spring training, and Matt Blake's in the background with all his machines. And it's pretty cool. I like the hiring for sure. Yeah,
so last two things here. So I've been asking all my guests the perspective on Kobe Bryant, the late Kobe Bryant, because he was one of my role models growing up, and I used to watch him a lot when he was with the Lakers, and especially it was more devastating when his daughter was involved, 13-year-old Gianna. But I have been asking all my guests that comes on to get their own perspective on him. So what he meant? What has he meant to you as a fan, as a player? I mean, and to the game.
So, man, Kobe Bryant was like a father figure for the world as kids. Yeah. Like, he was a guy that we all got to watch together mature. And I felt like that was my biggest takeaway from Kobe Bryant. And the thing I look back on the most after he passed was we saw this guy come into the NBA as an 18-year-old. And I remember it vaguely. You know, I was a young kid when that happened. But he was still really immature, you know, when I was like a kid in middle school, you know, like 2003 Lakers and stuff like that. He was an immature guy. And then you saw him become this like role model for people. It's like, how the heck did that happen? So in an instant, Kobe Bryant became somebody that kids were watching on TV looking up to as a role model, because you saw the guy go from just this cocky young kid getting himself into trouble to this guy that we could all adore, and a guy that parents weren't afraid to say, like, you know, be like Kobe Bryant, because the way he carried himself as a veteran player was just admirable. And that's kind of my biggest takeaway from who Kobe Bryant was and who he'll be remembered as. And just the fact that, you know, his daughter was lost with him and stuff like that. I mean, thank goodness his whole family wasn't on that plane, because now we've got a group of people and his wife Vanessa and his other daughters that could carry on his legacy for him.
Yeah, and I'm not forgetting the other people that were involved in the crash either. That was it. Yeah, but so this is the last thing here. Would you like to say anything to all the frontline people?
Man. I mean, it's incredible what's going on right now. These are probably moments that those people train for in college and wherever else you train to become a nurse and a doctor and a police officer. The people that are forced to work right now and keep us safe, these are moments that they trained for, that they probably sat there in class and were like, man, I'm never going to have to do anything like this. And here we are, you know, they're out there doing it. So, you know, I have all the respect in the world for what those people are doing right now.
Yes, I just want to say thank you for coming on the podcast.
I got everyone, you, man, anytime.
Yeah, everyone go follow the great Kyle Kondor. I can't. How do you say your last name? I don't want to get the
Kondor. Yeah,
Kondor.
Like,
okay.
It's like the bird, and I don't know if I would even know that. I don't even know that I would know it was a bird if it wasn't my last name. But apparently, it's a bird.
Everyone go follow him on Twitter, Instagram. He does great work with John Boy Media, Talking Jake, John Boy. Everyone go follow him, and let's go Yankees. And you and your family stay safe, and tell your girlfriend to stay safe also.
All right. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Is there any way you could save this and send it to me?
Oh, yeah. So here's the thing. This is what I do with all my interviews. So whenever I end it, I have an Android, so I can I have an extra recorder app. So I